push you a little bit outside your comfort zone. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It's in the challenge zone. And let me tell you, Pastor, I was listening to you very well. And I can tell you some of the points that you discussed. Leadership is influence. John Maxwell, my mentor, says, it's influence. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing else, but influence. The one who influences the other, that's the leader in that relationship. A lot of times, mistakenly, we think because that person is with the position, they are the leader. How many of you have been driving behind someone who has no business driving? Probably this morning, right? But you know what? He has the right to drive. Having the right to lead doesn't make you a leader. It's a lot of times it's exhausting to follow somebody who doesn't know how to lead. Okay? So we all have experienced at one point in that situation. So yes, we talk about self-motivation. To be honest with you, I know there's intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, but at the end of the day, there is nothing else but self-motivation. Nobody can generate motivation for you. The job of the environment, of the church, of the pastoral staff, is to create an environment that when you walk in that environment, your response is being motivated. But even if we do everything we can, we put snacks, we give you time, it's comfortable, we give you everything that we can, some people may choose not to be motivated. And they still have complaints. And they blame the environment, they blame the community, they blame the government, they blame anybody. But to themselves, you cannot cause motivation on me. That's my response according to the way I respond according to the environment that you create. That makes sense? Yes. If you talk about going beyond the ordinary, that little extra beyond the ordinary, that's what makes us extraordinary people. And we are extraordinary people.
Amen.
We are. We have to accept it. That's God's promise. And He has commanded. We are the church commanded by God to do something. That's what I'm here. And then you talk about something that was a mouthful. You said it, right? That's how you describe it. But I wanted to summarize it with one of the laws of leadership. And this is the first law of leadership and the 21 reputable laws of leadership, which is the law of the lead. This is a lead. It's a container. You see, the lead, how many of you know that this has a capacity? This has a capacity. You cannot put more than the capacity of this. We have no limits. Except the limits that we create to ourselves. So when we say, I can't do that, you are correct. Because God created us to be right. So that's why it doesn't feel good when we are not right. It doesn't feel good. We have a feeling mechanism that says that's not right. Because we were created to succeed, to overcome, to prosper, to do the best. And I would even challenge that. Because you also talk about being the best. But let me close with this law of the lead. He said, the law of the lead says that your level of your leadership ability will determine your level of effectiveness. Your ability to lead on a scale from 1 to 10, if your ability to lead is 5, you can handle anything below that. But once you hit a challenge that is a 5, we struggle. If the challenge is a 6, I can't do it. That doesn't mean it cannot be done. I just cannot do it. Let me give you an example. Si me puedes entender, quiero que te pongas de pie y levanta la mano derecha, por favor. Si me puedes entender, ponte de pie y levanta la mano derecha. Ponte de pie. ¿Sabes qué es eso? Ponerte de pie. Get 50% of what I said, she missed another percentage. But she got 50% more than what you got. So the problem is not that I'm speaking Spanish. The problem is that you don't understand it. Right. So, but if I raise my level of ability to understand Spanish, that's no longer a problem. I'm about to show you that. Ponte de pie significa párate. Pie. Ajá, párate. Puedes pararte. Párate. Ponte de pie, párate tú, levántate. Thank you. So what I asked is if you can understand, I want you to stand up and raise your right hand. She understood the right hand part. You understand? But now, ponte de pie. You see? Now, her ability has raised to another level. Are you with me? So when you said yes, a lot of times we set the limitations. Albert Einstein said, when we think about limits, we create them. Think about how profound that is. When I say I can't, that's the origin of my limitations. So, Dr. Tim says, talking about doing your best. And we are required to do our best. But can I tell you something? Sometimes my best is not enough. My best is not enough. I can do my best. I don't care how much I'm doing my best. I will never sing that better. But I'm doing my best. Hello? I would never gonna sing by Patrick Tim. I can't. That's not my ability. Are you with me? Sometimes we have to do what is required to do. And that's why I have never seen me doing an audition for the worship team. That is not my gift. God didn't gift me with that. He gave me this gift. It is underdeveloped, still being developed. So that being said, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you are prepared, because I'm going to unload some things to you. And I was telling kids that I was thinking about you the whole time, because it's like, what not to do? Oh, yeah, here's an example. What not to do? Let me address those situations. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I love you, brother. So, real quick, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I've been doing this for a long time. Since 1980, I went to the military academy to become a platoon leader. That was my degree. I graduated from the academy, but notice the same year that I went to the academy, that's the same year I was required to be my degree that I just got. I'm a freshman, but we have work, so we need you. So guess what? My best was not good enough. So they have to train me as much as they can, and they send me to work to direct troops in war. Needless to say, I got wounded a couple of times, taken hostage in the process. One day, we signed a peace agreement. I came to the United States in 1992, and the rest is history. Leadership is not something that I do because I have nothing else to do. This has been just like for you have been preaching and singing, Pastor. For me, it has been leadership. You know, I'm a student of leadership. So I'm going to share some things with you. But before I share this with you, I want you to just think about this. Think about this, and then I'm going to ask some of you to volunteer your thoughts. Question for you. What do you want to be known for? Think. What do I want to be known for? What do I want my children to say in my funeral? My friends, my pastor. How do I want to be remembered? Anybody think? Anybody have the courage to share your thoughts? What do you want to be known for? Yes, sir. Give me your name, I'm sorry.
Well, my name is Vince.
Okay.
It's just strange because that this happened to me on the way here. I was listening to a older song that my grandmother used to sing. It was called I'm Pressing On. And, I was thinking, I was like, me and my brothers and stuff, we'd be sitting around talking about what my father, what my grandmother, and all of them did, and what we didn't listen to. So I was just saying to myself, what is I'm doing that I could leave that type of thing to my kids and to my nephews. So,
Beautiful. What was the answer? Happy, you still
I
think?
guess it drove me here. That's why I was coming in here. I didn't know what was up, and I'm like, wow, that was just, for what you said, that was just was on my mind a few minutes ago.
Well, welcome to the Holy Spirit work. That's the way He works, right? We don't understand it. It's real, but that's how He does. So, but thank you for sharing that, bro. Yes.
Okay, I'm Tanya, and Tanya was a very compassionate, empathetic person. She loved God and she loved people. She would speak up for injustice and she'd do things, make sure she used her voice to help move towards progress. She was for humanity, but it was also through God's work in His way. We'll miss her.
Oh my God! If people in the congregation start that's not true.
No, honestly, I've been thinking about legacy a lot because of Martin Luther King.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. You see, that's a clear picture about what I want to be known for. You want to share?
Spiritual impactful.
Spiritual impact.
Spiritual
Okay.
impactful life.
My name is Ernest. I remember you from the last time. I want to be known as the glue.
That's the glue.
Yeah.
The one who brings people together.
I want to be known as the glue, the one that brings people together, that keeps people together. I want to be known for kindness and helping others and just being someone that other people felt like they could come to in a time of need and not worry about hearing it anywhere else, how some things like that happen.
Thank you, Ernest. You see, that's deep, and everybody has a, Can I tell you something, guys? You can answer that question. You may have more thought about it than like Tanya has. That requires some more assessment. No, but seriously. But if you start thinking, you're going to come up with that answer, brother. Just like you did. But it's a tougher question besides this one that you cannot answer. This one I can answer. I want to be known. How about this? What are you known for? Yes. Because if you're not known as the glue, the one who brings people together, that people can come all the time. If you're not a kind person, guess what? We have some work to do. Because it's a gap. That's the challenge of life. That we have a purpose. That we want deep in our heart what we want. So God created us for a purpose. And are we representing what? Are we exposing that purpose? Are we experiencing that purpose? And I'm going to share with you some things that really want to make you think. Okay? Question for you. Why are we here? Anybody? Why are we here? Yes.
Okay, I feel like that we're here because we share the same process in our mind and want to move forward and make things better, not for just ourselves, but for the church as well. So, I say that God's talents is what all is here and to improve ourselves under His will.
Okay. We're part of the body, right? I have arms, legs, fingers, hair, ears. I have parts that makes the body. So the church has parts. Okay? And you're part of the body. Yes. A lot of times if we are not careful, we think it's Pastor Tim's responsibility and his pastoral staff for this place to run. And that's why I'm here, to actually to remind you some of the things that we already know. But we unintentionally neglect, because other things outside this building start calling us to prioritize. Anybody have a job like 8 to 5, kind of thing, Monday to Friday? Okay. Let me get Tricia. If I ask you, do you work Monday to Friday usually?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Tricia, let's grab a cup of coffee on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. You will say what?
I would say if you come to the hospital and I'm not being called at that moment, then we can have that cup of coffee.
See, she has to rearrange. Why? She knows where she is at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. No doubt. No doubt. Are we that, this is for all of us, not just for you. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. I'm also a member of a body. We are that dedicated about this church. Are we that dedicated? No, I can't. It's Sunday morning. I'm going to church. No, I can't. I'm volunteering with the children's church that day. It's snowing. Guess what? Some people have to go in the snow. They have to go to work. But some people, it may snow, and they say, I'm not going to church. It may snow. Too hot, too cold. You okay? Are you all right? Your body's falling apart. But listen, I'm going to go really quick because this is just a reminder. This is the reason why we're here. We have a mission that God created for us, for this body. We don't have to figure out, it's already being commanded, so we have to go ahead and find out what is the commission. It's a commission. That means cooperating through the mission. Now, submission is under the mission. Commission is working parallel to the mission. This is how we do it. And you know the mission, commission, everything I do. But it says in Matthew 28:18-20, that Jesus came to them and said what? All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. He has the authority to command that. And they said, therefore, go. Who is he sending? Say it with me. This is the first step of the 12-step process of Abraham.
Sending me.
He's sending me.
Right.
Say it again.
He's sending me.
You're a minister. You are part of his body.
Yes.
That he has put pastors, he has put teachers, prophets, he has put people, apostles, but he put us as helpers. Let's read it. And it says, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them on the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. Did he say some things? Everything. You see, every time that we do, and we just do ordinary work, it's not everything. Every time we just get by, it's not everything. I'm not trying to get in your nerves that I made. Okay? Every time we just show up on time, it's not everything. On time is average. On
Right.
time is ordinary. People do on time. Guess what we do? The extraordinary. We are the one there because we're the one who taking people to the kingdom. We already welcome them, waiting for them. We don't wait for the phone call from the pastor. As a matter of fact, we call the pastor. Hey, pastor, I know we're having, Thanksgiving coming. I mean, do you have any plans? How can I help you? I'm free. If I'm not, I'll get a couple days off because this is important. What can I do? Why? Because I am part of the body. And guess what? I don't have to wait for a call. And I know this is hard. A lot of the things that I discussed are directed to employees. And you're not employees. You're more than employees.
Right.
You're so much more. The employee trade what? Time for dollars. We trade our gift, our purpose for salvation. I think that's better. it's not that we train because already being paid, but it's something that we are commanded to do. And you may still go to heaven, but you will not live life to its fullest. There is some life to live to its fullest in here. And if we're not working to that extraordinary, we're being average. In our world, in leadership, we call that, and I'm not calling you any names, I'm just telling you, I'm just sharing my thought. Mediocre. How many of you like to be called mediocre? Nobody. That's offensive words. The way we get out of mediocrity, we just do more than mediocre people do. I don't do half measures, I don't do shortcuts, I don't do just enough, I don't do just the ordinary work, I don't do average work, I do what? Beyond that. It's this simple. It's very simple. Not easy, but it's very simple. I just observe what ordinary people do, and I do a little bit more. Ordinary people expect that these tables and chairs are going to be just waiting for them to come and sit down. Extraordinary people say, hey, Pastor, can I help you set up the room? That will be extraordinary work. I'm not trying to put a blame game. If that is what you feel it, that's the enemy. It's not me. I'm just sharing some things that I'm telling you I'm compelled to share. Because I do this with my church. I do this with a lot of times. As a matter of fact, we got ordained the same day. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh my God. 2014. I would never forget. That was a very, very memorable day. So, let's see. This is what he said. Pretty much in a nutshell, go and make disciples of all nations. What is discipleship? What is that? With your own words, what do you think a disciple is? With your own words.
Following God with no exception.
Okay, following God with no excuse and no exception. Thank you, Apparition. Anybody else? What is discipleship? I know some of you already know. You went to school for this. But I'm asking us, the volunteers, the people who actually make these things. Just imagine this church, Sunday morning, and no volunteers show up. No one volunteer showed up. Do we? Oh, that's a cancel. Oh my God, I don't know if you can do it, but God can do anything. But again, you are the body of this community. But tell me, discipleship, discipline. Yes, ma'am.
Discipleship is following the ideas of the leader and executing it to what for that vision that has been given by that leader.
Pretty much, the word is about teaching. Somebody who's teachable. Somebody who's learning from a teacher, from a mentor, from a coach, from a pastor. That's a disciple. And the word discipline. How many of you remember that word? Discipline. That has a negative connotation because at one point discipleship means what? It's going to be tough work. And people got disciplined when they didn't do the discipleship. So now we say I have to discipline my children. Sounds like a bad word, like it's punitive. It's not about punishment, it's about teaching. Discipleship is about getting at somebody and you find it this way, but when they leave your presence, they're a little bit bigger. Why? Because you are impactful. You come to give, to add value, to contribute, to discover some things that they don't know. That is a challenge for most of us. Discipleship. Go. Who is he sending? Okay, yeah, you're getting it right now, right? Yeah, he needs help for this. Okay, these are the helps. Are you ready? All right. He says in 1 Corinthians 12:27, he says, now you are the body of Christ. Body of Christ. And each of you, hello, us, is a part of it. And God has placed in the church first of all apostles, second prophets, third teachers, the miracles, the gift of healings, of helping. Hello.
Hello.
In the same verse. that he's commanded the apostles and the prophets to go and what? To make disciples of all nations. He put the helps, administrative help, ushers, teachers, anybody who can help. The one who's moving the table, the one who's monitoring the parking lot, the one who's making phone calls during the week and saying, is everything okay? I know you were sick. How did mama do it? That's the help of guidance in different kinds of tongues. So guys, we don't have to wonder. We have a purpose to exist. That's the reason we exist. And why do you exist? What's the most important thing for the Welcome Center Church? It's already been written. It's not another thing that you don't have to. And this is in alignment with God's mission. If it's not in alignment, I love Pastor Tim, but I will be looking for another church. Because God wants us to go here, but Pastor Tim wants me to go here. That's a dilemma. How many of you know? I'm like, wait a minute. No. The Welcome Center Church is in alignment. So if I go move to this ministry, I'm moving forward the God's commission, the biggest commission. So let's see what is most important. In leadership, there are 3 ingredients. There is a leader, there is a follower, and what else? What's that? We have a leader, we have a follower, it's a 3rd ingredient.
Mission.
Thank you, Tracy. A place to go. We're not just wandering around. We're not just, just having fun. We have fun in the process, but we have a place to go. We have a mission. How do we know we have a mission? Because we have seen it before it actually happened. And that's what we call the vision. Anybody know what the vision is? And I know Pastor Tim and his leadership team knows this very well. But I'm telling you this, how long do you think it takes to write this vision? To welcome and impact our communities with God's love through faith, hope, and service. How long do you think it takes to write that vision? What's that? Long time? I mean, to come up with a vision of a congregation, I'm telling you, there's some work in there. There's a lot of prayer, a lot of, no sleeping nights, a lot of humbling yourself, surrendering yourself, because I'm about to command and bring some people. He just said it. I'm climbing. Are you climbing with me? If he climbs by himself, have you ever heard somebody saying it's lonely at the top? That's not a leadership message. It's not a leadership saying. Because if you're a leader, you're never alone.
Right,
You
right.
have a follower.
Right.
And you're at the top. Guess what? You got to the top. But if you're too lonely at the top, go back down to the valley. Pick up some people. Hey guys, can you come with me? Bring them to the top. Guys, I'm telling you. How about, this is where we want to go. How are we going to get there? Well, we have a mission. We are a center of hope. We exist to provide hope, help, and add value to the lives of others by experiencing God's presence. The same thing, the same question. How long does it take? In my humble opinion, a lot of missions that people write, the visions that they write, they haven't been written yet. Missions are not written on pieces of paper or the website. Missions are written in the hearts and minds of the people who are supposed to accomplish it.
That's right.
And if I don't know my mission, hello, are you with me? I'm not saying that you don't have an idea what you're doing. That's not what I'm saying. But guys, take the time to know why are we here. This is the reason of our existence. This is how we exist. If we are doing something that doesn't contribute for that, can I tell you something? Just listen carefully. You hear that? That's the AC or the heater. That is working to support the mission.
Right. Right.
That pen that you have in your hands, that you found in a cup, that was purchased to support the mission. Everything we do is to get there. So a lot of times we don't give it that much emphasis because I'm not the one preaching, I'm not the one worshiping team, I'm not the one on stage. But I'm telling you guys, you're part of a body. How many of you have a little cut on a finger when you were preparing food? Anybody have done that? Let me tell you something, you cannot disassociate from that pain. They say, well, you know, my other hand is fine, so I don't care. But no, a toothache. Anybody have a toothache? Your whole body hurts. It's not just the tooth. So that's how the passion of a pastor, a pastoral staff, trying to take a group of people. Volunteers, are you ready for this? Are the toughest people to lead. Next to children and co-workers, peers. Why? They don't have to do it. But when I have a position of authority and I'm recognized as a leader and I'm your supervisor, guess what? Even you don't want to come, but guess what? You have to. I don't want to be leading. This is not a congregation where you have to. There's nothing about have to. This is between you and God. If your personal mission is not in alignment to this mission, it's going to be really hard to do something that the mission of the church does. We are the church, not the building. Amen. Thank God we have a beautiful building, beautiful facility, great leadership, great prayer, great worship, great message. But if I'm not in it, and I'm there just to consume, that's an issue. So, any questions about this vision and mission? By the way, every single slide that I'm showing you at the end, I'm going to share a QR code and you can get the slideshows. You know, in a handout. Is that okay? All right. And please feel free to ask any questions. You told me all the way to 4 o'clock, but that's... wait a minute. Can't do that. God, let me do this again because it has an effect. Our core values. What are core values? And you know what the core values are, but what is a core value? Period. Something you stand for. Thank you. Anybody else? What is a core value? It's non-negotiable. It's not for trading. This is a decision already made. Now, if I spend a day with you, should I be able to observe what your core values are? You know, yes. Why? Because you live those core values. What are the core values for the Welcome Center Church? How do you live by it? By the same message. We have to learn this. It's about love, faith, service, and excellence. What did I memorize? Because I have a responsibility to join in partnership with the mission of God. That's why I have to take the time. This is love. This is very difficult sometimes because we use love for everything. Oh, I love these shoes, I love this movie, I love pizza, I love my children, I love my wife, I love my friends, I love everything. And a lot of times that's questionable. Because there are some people having earned it. I'll tell you something, love is not something that we generate. It's not something that we create. We receive it from Him because He is love, and we transfer it to others. So every time I stop that transferring, I'm getting between God's commission. You see, it's my job to transfer it mainly to the people that we don't like that much. How many of you have people that you don't like? How many of you sit down next to that person? You know, the funny thing that they both move away from each other. Wow, that's sad. Love, faith, because it requires faith. I'm telling you guys, it requires faith. This is actually believing that something that hasn't happened yet, it will happen.
That's right.
You see, that vision. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something I was really reflecting on. To welcome and impact our community with God's love through faith, hope, and service. I promise you, some of you are already doing that. I promise you, you can do that tomorrow and actually do that. But what is a vision? Because it's a corporate vision.
Yes.
And that is the problem. A lot of times, you know, you do it, she does it, but she doesn't do it, he doesn't do it, and that's not corporate. So this is not just about individual performance, it's about a church working together, like you said, cohesively, to be bonded with one purpose in mind. We can have 2,000 ideas, but one objective in mind, God's mission. We cannot have 2,000 God's missions. How to get there? It could be a lot of ways. Through Jesus is the only way. How many of you know that?
That's right.
Guys, you can do this tomorrow, but can we do it as a church? Can we actually be known as the church that do this? That's the work that we have. You heard this many, many times. I mean, you walk in Chick-fil-A and it's and you're gonna have a different experience than the one you get somewhere else. Not all the time. That is not it's not a rule. But usually, why? Because they have worked really hard in becoming a brand that do things differently. Against every single advisor, they close on Sundays. Against every single, that doesn't make sense. That's it. They're fine. I had the privilege to share bread with Truett Cathy and his wife before he passed away. When we did the preview of Fireproof, I was part of a committee, and I don't know how I got into that committee, but you know, they invited us to go to the Fox in Atlanta Theater, and it was, all the cast was there. It was beautiful. But I saw this whole moved up building. I saw there's children serving tables. I saw Dan Cathy actually getting on his knees. And he was not doing foot washing, but he was brushing somebody else's shoe, one of the employees. He said, this is what we do, this is what we are. We serve people. You know, let me tell you something, I got inspired. And I'm saying it can be done. But they have made a commitment. I'm not saying they're perfect. But you can see the difference. Why can we be known as that church that you know you're going to be served? Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how long you've been there. If this is not your service that is produced by the staff, or the volunteers that are working, this is who they are. That is a challenge, and that's why this is a vision that is stretching us to get there. That is a challenge, not impossible. Why? Because we have faith. We can actually get there. And finally, we have excellence. And that's what we're going to spend the rest of the session doing. On excellence. Any questions so far? Any comments? Any observations? Any feedback? Is this making any sense, guys? Yes. Okay? Are you receiving it? So I'm about to get into business. Is that okay? This is God's business, so I love to get in God's business. But excellence. Again, at one point, I thought excellence was way up there. And I was way down here. But I found out through teaching that excellence is not that far away from average, but it's consistently above average.
Yes.
Consistently above average. Not a one-time thing. There's a man, what a service, man. That was a home run. We had a great event. That was great. People were there. That's awesome. Let's celebrate it. But can we be consistent in the next Sunday? Can we actually create the same experience in the next event? You see, that's the challenge for anybody. I don't care what industry. Winning a championship, great. But can we win back to back, in another year, in another year. Well, those people make the news. The Chicago Bulls did, Angeles Dodgers did, there are some teams, the Lakers, there are some teams that they did that. Why? Because they were consistent. It's not like home run. There are musicians that they're consistent. There are others that they created a song, a hit, that was great, we still sing it, but we forgot who they were. One hit wonder. Excellence is not that. It's consistently delivering the services with the best of our ability, extraordinary ways, above average, beyond the expectations, beyond the call of duty. So that is the challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. It's not just for you. So, let's get into this really quick. Question for you. Do you consistently perform with excellence in everything you do? Okay, well, let's be real, right? No, we don't. Now, I will say this, it's not for lack of capacity. It's not because we cannot. No, a lot of times we have accepted. Listen, I like to use analogies because that's how I learn. That's how I memorize a lot of things, with analogies. But we are not a tool. This is a tool. Do you agree with that? What is this tool created for? To run, right? Nobody have any questions, right? This is what we do. Now, can I use it to scratch my back? Yeah. It's a good job. I can use it to actually stop those two doors from closing because I don't want it to get locked and put it in the middle. Can I use it for that? But what is the purpose of it? Right. You see, a lot of times we allow the word to tell us how to be used. We have a reason to exist. And if we don't do that, we're doing a good job. But you're not doing what you were created to do. That makes sense? Life is a pursuit. You're trying to find, why am I here? Why am I here? You know, a lot of times we need a group of people like you to say, man, I noticed some things you do. It comes so easy for you. I needed that feedback. I don't speak English well. How many of you realize English is not my first language? But you have met me, like when I met these guys so many years ago, well, guess what? The English was even worse. I don't know how the state banked on me and gave me a position. I was not new to Georgia, I was new to the country. It's a lot of things, but you know what? It was a group of people that said, you can do it. I see some things in you. I remember this doctor in Milledgeville. This is back in 1994, maybe 95, because I already been there for a year. And he said, I see some things in you. A doctor I never knew before. You can do so many good things here in this country. 1995, I was just happy I had a job. I've been trying to look and find this doctor man, and I haven't been successful. I want to go back and say, you believe in me. I still remember when you say, I remember what I was. It was just a moment. How many of you have those moments? So I hope we create those moments to other people. That's what is impact. He impacted me. And then other people, did I say something that offended? Just kidding. Just kidding. But anyhow, do you see? Excellence is a pursuit. It's not a one-time thing. It's a pursuit that we're going to, listen, it's not perfection. It's consistency. You see, it's consistency. It's having the intellectual humility to admit I'm not being excellent. I know I'm not being excellent. I know I didn't do my excellent work. So step back. What do I need to do? Hey, Tanya, can you tell me? I mean, be honest with me. There's something that I can improve. I need to have that kind of feedback. As an organization, we need a feedback mechanism that measure our performance. So let me start over again. My name is Luis Castro. Brother, we have a chair right here for you. But did you see the challenge? Do you see the challenge? This is not a one-time thing. So let's get into this. That's what I want to just define. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just thinking about it. What, can you go back to one, what is it, do you, okay, consistently perform excellent in everything you do? I hope it's not a crazy question, but I'm thinking it. Do you want to do everything with excellence, or some things not deserving as much effort and consistency or whatever, it's just something to be done, and then that's it, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there are some things you want to be excellent at all the time, but is it everything? I'm not sure.
That's a crazy question. No. That's a very, very fair, question that we need to put on the table. See, the challenge, this is what I know. I'm telling you, when I'm required to do a lot of things, just like preaching, right, Pastor? When you have to talk about integrity that Sunday, guess what? That week, I don't want to sin. I don't have bad thoughts. I don't want to talk about nothing that can tempt me to break the message, because it's a challenge to actually to perform, to share something that you don't do consistently. But this is what I found out, Tanya. I will always witness myself in my biggest moments or my worst moments. I'm always going to see myself. And what is the self-view that you have, the self-image? That's important. Now, if I know, I'm telling you, I do these things every week. I'm somewhere doing something. By the time I'm folding this course, I'm already thinking, besides saying, hi, how you doing, whatever, I'm already thinking, did I do my best? By the time I'm going to the elevator or whatever, I'm walking to the parking lot, I start thinking, man, I forgot to say this. Yeah, that's my self-appraisal. Every single time, I'm going to do it today. If you follow me, you will see me doing this. Don't follow me, it's kind of crazy. But I get to the car. I loosen my tie, if I have a tie. I clean my face. And I look at myself in the mirror. And you don't know how many times I have to face that person and say, you didn't do your best. You win it. You know better. And having that consistently feedback, it has helped me for me to put a little bit more effort in everything that I do. So I would say you're not going to be excellent in everything that you do, because you're dealing with some people who already speak the language. Okay? She understands more, she has more knowledge, more education. You can be excellent in every area because it's according to your measurement. Did I do better than yesterday? Did I just wing it? Oh, well, I'm just reading this morning. I'm just reading this morning. So, hey, how you doing? Hey, how are you? Welcome to. Well, that's your excellent work. I mean, that's your standards. That's excellent for you. Will not be excellent for somebody next to you. So it's a constant. That's what consistency is the key word. It's a constant view about yourself. And I'm telling you guys, I have at least 4 different views about myself. 4. Sometimes, my effort is trying to see these 4, it just become 1. But I have one, how I see myself. How I see myself is one way. I see myself this way. How I want to be seen by others. How they really see me. And how God sees me. You see, I can be really, really messed up and trying to perform because I want to be seen this way. That's not how God sees me. God sees me He saw me before I was born.
Yes.
So that's what is a fair question, and I'm saying I cannot answer that for you. You challenge yourself. You talk about challenging also. I wrote a whole quote. I'm writing a book based on that word. The courage to challenge yourself. Because I found out a lot of people don't challenge themselves. Can I say the quote right now? This is what it says. Have the courage to challenge yourself. have the strength to do right and not just to be right. Dare to take risks and be confident to exercise humility. Be proud to be yourself and eager to meet the person that God created you to be. Amen?
Yeah.
That's good, right? Well, that has been kind of my premise going through life. So I'm saying this is a challenge. This is not a destination that we finally say, finally got there, Pastor. The next newcomer can challenge you to excellence again. So this is always a moving target. But the effort, sometimes we have to think, but your effort excellent. Even the results were not. But your effort was excellent. That means what? You pursue excellence. You try to excel. You do the extraordinary. But you still lost the game. Doesn't really matter. You know what? Who said this? Zig Ziglar said it a long time ago. Zig Ziglar, long time ago. But he says, winning is not everything. But the effort to win is. So if I'm in the effort to pursue excellence, I'm an excellent person.
Right.
Even if I didn't get the results. You see, that's what Pastor Tim was talking about, doing your best. But I'm telling you, be careful. Sometimes that best is bias. That's what I want to surround myself with, people who challenge me, who encourage me, who are in my corner, but they love me so much. It's not going to let me just do mediocre work.
Right, right.
I'm not. I want to say, I mean, I have to, some people may not understand it. That's why I have to build that equity so I can leverage that. And I say, hey, Deborah, you have a minute. Have. Listen, this is how I see it. That could be totally wrong. But I don't think you did your best on that. That's my opinion, and it's totally biased. But did you notice that you were not? And guess what? Sometimes you hit home and they say, you know, it's just something you be bothered with. Well, we have core values. That is not because it didn't please Ruiz. No, we have a core value that says what? Love, faith, service, excellence. This is who we are. Based on that, I have the authority to call you out. Even if you're my pastor, I can go, you gotta make, this is so uncomfortable, Pastor, but I just need to say, I don't want to be thinking about this. It's not fair for you, it's not fair for me. But this is what I noticed today. I noticed this and this. And I put it on the table. That's why I have that relationship with him. I want that group of people that I can be totally vulnerable and open. And they have permission to speak into my life, and I have permission to speak in their life. If you don't surround yourself with that, you may end somewhere else that you never intended to be. Please tell me about the time, Pastor.
Go.
Okay. The main point of excellence. Excellence is not accidental in any organization. Like I said, this was designed for employees and jobs and companies. So you have to adjust it to the church world. It begins when leaders make a conscious decision to create conditions where excellence thrives. To be a top rated by people inside and outside of the organization, leaders must have a strong vision of what organizational excellence looks like and how to achieve. And excellence is actually just having that clarity of the vision that we have, that we're pursuing, clarity of the mission. This is what we do, what's important to us, and how we accomplish it by pursuing and respecting and honoring those values. So I can see, based on that, that was not showing love. I can see that's self-doubt, that's not showing faith. I can see that's not good service. You're not impacting. I can see that was not excellent.
Right.
You see, but I have to be in tune with what? That the one that determines the parameter that is not me, it's not Pastor Tim, it's what we already made a decision, and you say, I do. How many of you have gone to a wedding? Or officiated one, right? This is a decision-making day. It's an event that started that day and will end that day. Yeah, no, you may be paying for the wedding for the next 3 years. This is what I found out. I did a lot of research on this, I promise you. Take it to the bank. Every single divorce starts with a wedding. You agree with that? Yes. So the success of the event doesn't guarantee the success of the marriage.
That's right.
Making a decision like today, you're going to make a decision. You may say, I do. And that's great. That's a good start. But would you do? That's the question. Some people say I do, but they don't do. Some people are willing to overemphasize the event and underestimate the power of the journey. We make a decision. This is managing the decision that we made. The strategy is just making a decision. And it's good, the mission, the vision, the values, goals, objectives, the resources that we need to get there. All that is important, but that's just 20% of the deal. That's just the strategy. Those are the promises that we're making. How many of you know? Please don't raise your hand. But how many of us know how to eat healthy? You see, it's not lack of knowledge, right? We know. It's lack of what?
Discipline.
Discipline. It's lack of doing what we already know. So that is the key. The same thing with this. It's not that we don't have the compelling factors for us to do, but we have a mission. God is using us to achieve it, not to do it. We get to do it, and we are. I mean, I can go on and on that. He said, without leadership commitment, high performance may happen in pockets, but doesn't have a recognizable impact on the entire team. Like I said, you can hit the vision tomorrow. Some of you do it consistently every week, but we're doing it as a corporation, as a congregation, as a church. That is a challenge. So this is not a competition. You may serve as a model to others what excellence is. Our job, when we have new people or younger people, for us, the old people, is to mentor them. But we also can be mentored by them. Guys, you have talked to the baby boomers, right? We are the foreigners in their world. A lot of times we think that they are coming into our world. It's the other way around. And we don't understand that. We have a sense of entitlement that we know better. It's so much that we can learn from all different generations. But it says an organization may be great at recognizing employees, but perhaps not so good at holding people accountable for the outcome. And I'll tell you something, this is a challenge in the faith-based organizations. Because my pastor is not just my spiritual leader, he's also my boss. You know, a lot of times, we have that difficulty about holding accountable because we don't want to lose somebody. There are times it just, the accountability, we think about discipline, guess what? It's not punitive. It's because I care enough about you that I cannot let you continue thinking that your performance is acceptable, because it's not. Because I love you enough, but I have to earn, like Ernest says, I have to earn that place that I can actually deliver that kind of words. Sometimes if you don't have that emotional account with somebody, and you're trying to withdraw, guess what? Have you tried that in the ATM, trying to withdraw money, but you never made a deposit? The ATM will laugh, it will laugh at that point. You're funny. Why? Because we have to make a deposit first to be able to make withdrawals. He said, or maybe employee engagement is top rated, but leadership doesn't have a defined set of measures that show success. So in the next 10-15 minutes, I'm going to be done. I want to show you just some of the things that will show you excellence. I have a framework that will help you about 9 different things, disciplines that people have to have excellence. But before that, let's see what other people say about excellence. Samuel Johnson says, excellence is a lifelong pursuit for most who attain it. Nothing less will do. Nothing else. It's a lifetime pursuit. And I think the pursuit ends when we die. not when we attain it. I know I respect his, but I think this is not attainable. We can grow toward that, we can get better, we can improve, but we can never get to the point that says, oh, I got it. It's almost like a trusting relationship. Oh, I trust you. But how many of you know that it can take you 40 years to build that trust? And it doesn't take but one word that you said that you should have never said that can make it collapse. So it's not something that we can take for granted. It's something that we constantly pursue. The quality of being outstanding or extremely good. There's the word again. Extremely, extraordinary, excelling. Gary Herbst actually was an instructor of mine. I went to Philly, Ohio to consider to work with him. He's the one who wrote the 6 Disciplines for Excellence. And he said this, I will never forget this: the enduring pursuit of balancing the strategy and the execution while overcoming unending number of surprises. That is excellence. It's not saying we have no issues. It's like going in the middle of the lake, rowing a boat, going somewhere to the other side of the lake. Well, you're doing the strategy, you know how to get there, but suddenly you have a hole in the boat. The water is coming in. So say, okay, we're executing the decision we made when we left, but now I have to stop with this because I'm going to continue rowing. Oh, it's another one. Oh my gosh. You know, how do we do this? How many of you know Pastor Tim is there? Pastor Tim is a great leader. Known him for many, many years. But with all the respect, Pastor Tim, you can't do this by yourself. This is one of the illusions that leaders may have. But you understand that, and that's why you're doing this events. And trying to see, guys, this is CPR for some of you, for some others, they just going to the gym and exercise a little. Nothing new I have said for some of you. But some other people, they need revival, resurrection. Guys, we need to make sure that excellence is not an easy thing. So let me finish with this. This is the framework, the 9 principles framework of excellence. I'm going to deal one by one very quick. The first one, it says commitment to excellence. That has to be a commitment. You see, that's the raising the bar. We will not accept just ordinary work. And that's the fine line that we have to work sometimes because it can be kind of very difficult in the faith community. Measure the important things, not just everything, but the important things. A lot of times we measure by attendance, we measure by budgets, we measure by people getting saved. There's some important measurements. But we have to make sure that we measure those important things. Build a culture around service. Develop leaders to develop people. Focus on employee engagement. Not just participation. Not just involvement. Engagement. That's a huge word. Be accountable. Not just being held accountable. Be accountable. Align behaviors with goals and values. Communicate at all levels, and finally, recognize and reward success. So let's go and break this. Remember, all this is in your handouts, one by one. Let's start with a commitment to excellence. Set high expectations to achieve results while living up to mission. And that's the work of a leader, is actually set the expectations. But remember, leadership is what?
Influence.
Influence. So if it's influence, can I influence up? Yes.
Yes.
I can influence sideways, and I can influence down. It's a 360-degree thing. So I can come because I may see some things that Pastor Tim didn't see. But because of my position, I have a different angle, a different perspective. And I am compelled as his advisor to find the right time and the right, because time has a lot to do with everything that we do. You do it at the wrong time, you may find rejection. It's not a good time. How many of you want to talk to you? I mean, you're walking to the pulpit and say, hey, Pastor, I want to tell you something. Then you pray for my, oh my God. Oh, what? Yeah, not the right time. So, but it's my responsibility to actually make sure that I can prompt him, advise him, bring awareness, share with him, but in a reasonable way. What do I mean that? Because there are unreasonable people out there. Hello. My input, listen carefully, as long he hear me, he really listened to me, he considered my input, he tried to understand it, he even, no agree, but he understand it. But he said, I heard you, Luis, but we still want to do what I said we were going to do. But I appreciate your input. Reasonable people, they say, well, thank you for listening. That's it. The debate is over. I don't have to say, okay, that is never going to work. Trust me. I've been a Christian for so many years. I've been that, and I'll tell you my whole resume. Because really, something that, because he disagreed, he didn't adopt my idea, we think it's not going to work. And you know what? In the corporate environment, that's what we call office politics. So I go to my coworker, whispering, that will never work. Trust me. And I'm campaigning for my idea because the local government didn't listen to my idea. But you know, it's not like he didn't listen. He just, I heard you. Listen, agreement is never, there are some things that we have to agree, we already agreed. We have goals, visions, we have values. That's an agreement. We already agreed to that. If you don't agree with that, we love you, keep working on it, but at one point you have to find alignment with it. But in other things, agreement is not the objective. It's understanding.
That's right.
If you understand what I'm saying and I feel understood, we're communicating and connecting very well. So, organizations that embody these principles have a set of values with key descriptors. You can actually see between what is excellent and what is not. Very clear. Leaders are consistent in their practices and senior leaders role model the values and behaviors. This is key. Senior leaders, I may have the authority to ask somebody to do something. I have the legal authority because I am a senior leader. But I may not have the moral authority to do something that I'm not doing. How can I tell you to do something I'm not doing? Hello? I will question that. If I'm part of your followers, I will say, hey, excuse me, sir, with all due respect, how can you ask me to do something that I've never seen you do? You see, that's a challenge for leadership. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things that we don't see the pastoral staff do. There's a lot of things we don't see them do. This is a lot of things. So just make sure that you at least, if you're in a pastoral staff or you're in an influential position, which is everyone, make sure you do what you ask others. In leadership, we say, leaders only tell, never teach, until they practice what they preach. And we are not in the business of telling people, telling. No, we have to teach. Measure the important things. Continuously track progress to achieve results with growth mindset. Not goal mindset, growth mindset. It's not about achieving goals. Achieving goals, that's great. That's awesome. That's fulfilling. It's gratifying. Growth mindset, you may not see the goal being met yet, but you're growing. And you're becoming the person that can consistently achieve that goal. Let me say that again. Just talking to Deborah. She said she's learning Spanish from her grandchildren. And I shared with her. And she said, well, I'm learning some words. And of course, the first thing I had to ask her, did they teach you the bad words yet? No. Okay, I'm going to be teaching them this. I'm going to be doing a Spanish course, a small group at the church. So I'm going to be doing that. So I shared that with her. So, guess what? If she decides to join, she has a growth mindset. She may not be speaking Spanish, but she's becoming the person who can speak Spanish. By what? By submitting her ego to the authority of somebody who knows a little bit more than what she knows.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's huge.
Yes.
At times, because you are leaders in the community, you have already recognition somewhere else, but it's at times, if we cannot submit our ego to the authority of the church, it's a problem. It's a problem. That's something that, if you don't have that spirit, it's hard. When you already have the spirit, it's not a problem. It's not a big deal. You said you cannot grow what you don't systematically measure. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Let's move on. All this is in your handout. Build a culture around service. Serve others with great care and concern. You see, that's an intentional work. Guys, being intentional is not the same thing of having good intentions.
That's right.
Hello? A lot of people have good intentions, but they're not intentional. I'll give you an example. I want you to try to touch that can. Try to touch it. No, I didn't say touch it.
You say try.
You see? There is no such thing, I'm trying. You either do it or you don't. A lot of times we have glorified that word, I'm trying, Pastor, to justify the embarrassment that comes at times. No, I didn't study. No, I didn't read it. No, I haven't learned it. No, I didn't practice. No, I haven't been there. No, I didn't show up. That takes us, well, I'm trying. You either do it or you don't. Now, and a lot of things that probably we can try, but I'm telling you, there are some core things that we should do.
Right.
I may not
Right.
get the results back, but I did it.
Yeah.
What can I do different next time? Hey, you saw me doing it. You're really good at it. What can I do to become the person who does that? Maybe that is part. That's the spirit of excellence. You see, it doesn't matter what it does. It doesn't really matter because like I told you before, I will always witness myself doing excellent work or not. And guess what? A lot of times I choose not to. But I'm not being excellent in that particular task. I have to admit it. There's some things I don't have to be. I'm very ignorant about a lot of things. I've chosen not to be ignorant about some things, but a lot of things, I don't know. I'm not a musician, I'm not a singer. Guess what? By choice. I'm not spending my time trying to do randomness. You're gifted for that. Thank God we have you. Because you're part of the body. Aren't you glad that you have part of your body that you don't think that much until they hurt? You see, we have knees, we have hips, shoulders, we have a lot of things that we take for granted until it hurts. So, staff training models are focused on providing amazing service. This is part of that. This is training. But in my work, this is more about development more than training. And the reason why? Because it's not just directed to the congregation, volunteers, it's directed to you as an individual. So now you can take it to the different roles that you play. You play other roles besides this role. You can say, wow, I heard something this week and probably can be beneficial for us in another team. Develop leaders to develop people. That's the challenge of leadership. That's the challenge of leadership. Do you mind standing up, sir? I'm sorry I woke you up, but But just an example, think how difficult is to lead someone who is willing to follow. I can just have a sign and he will do it. Because he's a follower. Because no leader can be a leader without being followers first.
Right, right.
But don't follow my instructions, okay? Have a seat, sir. Sir, have a seat. How many times do I need to tell you to pack a seat? Now I have to use some kind of sound effects. Thank you, sir. But that is the challenge of leadership. Sometimes, you know what? Leaders, you don't make them, you find them. And leaders are hard to find, they're hard to gather, and they're hard to keep. We have to understand that. If we don't understand that, we miss it. You know, so we use them as much as they can, use their talent, and it's almost like a tour of duty. You're going to stay with me a couple of years, well, you know, tell me how can we help each other. So when you leave, at least you better to the next assignment. And sometimes they say, no, I love staying here. I stay for a couple more years. Let me have another tour of duty. I'll take it. Guys, develop leaders. This is a challenge. Coach people to be their best at work. How many of you have had a coach or is a coach yourself? Okay? How many of you know that the relationship with the athlete is different? They see you different. When you are the coach, they see you coming to help me. You chew me out from time to time, but guess what? I know I'm going to be better because I'm submitting myself to you. Versus I'm just your supervisor. I'm your manager. I'm your minister. Titles, I'm telling you, they take you to so far. But that's it. Decision makers support leadership development strategies and intentionally build it into the development plan for all employees. Now, we've been meeting for a couple of years, 3 years, with the pastoral staff, with the leadership team of this church. And that's important because we have done some digging, some hard work in there. But this is for all employees. So if you're not employees, you are volunteers. I'm a volunteer in my church also. Now I'm involved in my church, a higher level by choice. They have offered me positions, and I respectfully declined many years ago. Because I need volunteers. And for me, being a volunteer is a special heart. It's a special heart, and it will be right. This is maybe one of my limitations, Pastor. But I cannot get compensated for something that I think God has gifted me.
Right.
I just can't. I'm not saying you should. I get paid. I get paid very well. But I have the ability to say, hey, listen, let me wait that. I just have a non-profit organization approaching me and say, all that we have is this. Family. And we have this to do. There's no way. Unless what? I volunteer 75% of my services to you. Now I'm telling you this, they don't know that. That's a sure. But we should give at least an in-kind letter at the end of the year for my taxes. It will be great that I'm donating someone. Oh, absolutely. Okay, let's do it. But they couldn't afford, what that I'm saying, guys, the heart of the volunteer. Somebody brought it this way. Serving is the rent we pay for living. Serving is the rent we pay for being. Think about that. If we're not serving, you may be addicted sometimes. Because you have to serve. We've been created to serve.
That's right.
Don't miss the opportunity to find yourself serving others. Attend, the focus on employee engagement, they attend to aspirations and desires in the workplace. There is a difference between satisfaction and engagement. What is satisfaction? It's an internal feeling. And some people may be satisfied with less. Tell you something, a lot of times when you serve and you know that there is no compensation, there is no happiness sometimes, serving can actually not bring happiness, but brings joy. Joy is the seed of happiness. You may not be happy about working, cutting the grass of this campus. But it's joy, but it's not a feeling. It's coming from beyond. Its engagement is marked by a set of behaviors that show that an employee is committed to the work and actively feels a sense of ownership. This is, you see, having a sense of ownership means that this event is as important for Pastor Tim. That important. And I'm sure some of you have a work to do to make these things happen. But the least we can do is at least do our part. That's all. I'm about to say, be accountable. Commit to individual accountability to achieve organizational goals. Individual accountability. What is that? What is that individual accountability? That's a simple
Being
question.
accountable to yourself.
Say that again.
Being accountable to yourself.
Being accountable to yourself. It's my responsibility. Remember, I always witness my performance. And if I'm not self-accountable, I may be a little bit weird receiving accountability from others.
That's right.
So these are also, you know, the toughest people sometimes is my peer. I know I'm not a supervisor, I'm not a minister, but I see that your performance was not according to the excellence that we want to deliver every time we meet. Oh, you know my boss? How many times do you think I heard that in my career? You're not my boss. You don't tell me how to. I got in trouble a couple times because I knew I'm compelled. I'm there. Your boss is not here. And I observe you. I see you. And it's not good for us. Because I have a sense of ownership. It says, leaders should hold people accountable for their goals, but in a high-performing workplace, the culture fosters an environment where engaged employees hold themselves accountable.
Yes.
That's the, you see, when, as a coach, you know, you coach, right, brother? Or you don't coach anymore?
Oh, me?
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there is a coaching environment on the floor when people are playing in the field. They're holding each other accountable. Then they go to the locker room. There's the what? The boss, the manager, the coach hold them accountable. But then have to hold themselves accountable. That's the first level of accountability. And you have to work some people more harder than others. Align behaviors with goals and values. We already talked enough about this. But alignment is a hallmark of well-oiled systems and practice. That's why we always have to seek for alignment. Like I said, with all the respect that the church deserves, if you see that something is in misalignment with God's mission, bring it up to his attention. He may not know. How many of you know sometimes we just don't know? If I don't know, I don't know. So it's my responsibility as a part of this body to say, hey, listen, we made. That's my role. That's the role that I play in my congregation. And sometimes I see some things that other people don't see. I bring it with care, good timing, with candor, and mutual respect, tactful, because I want to be heard. I want to be understood. But it's important for us to align everything that we do, align with God's mission. This creates a condition for transparency, it builds trust, it creates systems and training strategies, and also communicate at all levels. That communication is not just verbal. How many of you know that non-verbal cues communicate well? Or paraverbal. What's paraverbal? Tone, volume, cadence, silent pauses, rate of speech, all that communicates. If I walked in the house and Robin is in the kitchen, this is an example, and I just hear the trays going, and I'm like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. She's fine. Is she? No, she's not. When you say you were fine, no, I'm not going to read that argument. Why? Because she communicated she wasn't fine. Even the Lord says something. So a lot of times people get, guys, body language, non-verbal communication can be easily misinterpreted. Easily misinterpreted. You can fool somebody that you have a lot of energy when you're not. And we have done this sometimes. How many of you have said, you know, I'm doing fine, but you're not? But that doesn't disturb your operation. You still deliver the service, and you're still there committed. But you know you're dealing with a pain, you're dealing with a health issue, a family issue. Something is happening. But you still show up. At all levels, we have to communicate. At all levels. You're coming about to pick me up. We are about to finish. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes, we're done. Finally, recognize and reward success. And this is important for us to, it keeps reminding us what is good, what it wasn't that good. And it's important to talk about this. It's not to be just negative. No, a lot of times we have to talk about the things that we didn't do well. Even when we do well, we still have to examine that. We have to examine, because if not, we just take it for granted. It may have been just, we just blessed that everything went well. Let's review that. Thank God, Lord, for your grace. But let's review, what can we do better? Because even when we won the game, we still made some mistakes. And if we don't inspect that, and we just deal with the champagne, celebrating, we may not come back next year and win the next championship. So, let me close with this. These are some of the barriers, that are clear barriers that want to stop us from becoming excellent. We don't have a strategy. Or if the strategy we have is weak. You see, the strategy is the promises that we make. The execution is the promises that we keep. How many of you know that they both are important?
That's right.
But I'd rather a poor strategy with a great execution than a great strategy with a poor execution. We can mess it up. Ideally, both should be effective. Lack of monitoring systems, we don't have places to survey. We have to survey, our congregation. Give us some feedback. Because this is what you were expecting. Even when people decide to leave, I want to know why. I mean, can you give us feedback? It may be some things that we can correct. Lack of systematic, we don't have a methodology. We just hope things are going to happen. There are some things we have a methodology. Promise you. There are some parts of the service that we know we have methodology, but we have methodology in everything that we do. In effective accountability practice, and finally, people do not possess the spirit of excellence. What is the spirit of excellence? Really quick. By using the 9 principles framework, we can actually develop this. Spirit of excellence, how to think differently. He said personal commitment to excellence is the first step. I have to make a personal commitment to myself, to God, to actually to be excellent. We cannot make you be excellent. Excellence is a personal commitment that you have made. And you're not comparing with anybody. Your excellence may not be as good as somebody else's excellence. That's okay. That's okay. But remember, you're the witness of yourself. So, make that commitment to yourself. Plan differently. He says, start with an assessment of the team members. Sometimes we have to put this 9 framework and see each of the team members. What areas each one has to develop? What areas we need? And of course, the pastor, the leader, he has to be in the hot seat first and allow his team or her team to provide feedback to them. And finally, act different. Approach improvement and the 9 principle framework as a cyclical and ongoing implementation to reach goals. It's a cycle. And at one point, it's not a finish line on this. So, guys, this is the handout. If you want to take it with your phone, get your phone out. I'm done, Pastor. But I just want to give these 2 QR codes. I'm sorry. I want to finish with a quote writing by someone. If somebody can take it and you can share with us.
We can post it on the end.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll take a long time. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Listen up, and I want to close with this. We have to understand this, guys. That we are stewards of this place. And at one point we have to pass the torch to someone else. That's the cycle. So I read this, George Bernard Shaw wrote this, and I thought, wow, this is actually for people like you. So I memorize it. I may mess it up because I'm still memorizing it. But I want you to put yourself in my foot like you are saying this, okay? You ready for this? This is what George says. This is the true joy in life. Being used for a purpose. Recognized by yourself as a mighty one. Being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little club of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making me happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is not a brief candle to me. It's a sort of a splendid torch, which I've got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before I pass it on to future generations. Ain't that good? Yes. George Bernard Shaw wrote that. So guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your flexibility, Pastor. This is just my one page. If you want to get my contact information, that's my information in there. But that's my mentor, that's my coach. This is in Dominican Republic, transforming people's lives in there. You know, he took a group of coaches and one of his founding partners, and I'm telling you, it has been a life transformation for me. But thank you, Pastor. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
There's an excellent folder on the main, so you can go there and get it if you want. So guys, in order for me to get you out on time. No. We needed all of that. We needed all of that. Penny's passing out a sheet that we used to go through for the staff. And I'm not gonna have time to go all the way through it, but I just want you to take notes and things that are on there, okay? You can read, I'm not gonna read all that for you. There's one thing that I do want to point out to you. When you look down at